Good morning. Happy New Year. The first official musings video for the new year. I'm working from a plan today. I've written down some notes so I don't ramble on too much and I stay a little bit more on track. So for today's video, we're going to cover New Year's resolutions, or not quite resolutions because I don't like resolutions. Going to talk about upcoming events and things that I'm getting involved in this year. One of which is karate for mental health. Obviously, mental health is a big aspect of my life at the moment. So we'll cover a little bit of that and dojo stuff going forwards throughout this year. Reflecting on what I've done already. So, first of all, Happy New Year. I hope you've all had a good one. I hope your Christmas was grand or quiet or just however you like it. And so New Year's resolutions. A lot of people make resolutions. I don't believe in resolutions as a rule. I believe that as a person, you should be resolute anyway. You should always be, willing to follow through with whatever it is you say that you're going to do. That is doubly true for martial artists. You should be, as a martial artist, you should be resolute in character. So, your whole character should be based around resolution, backing up your bullshit and going forward. Yeah. I came across a post on Facebook. Written by Tommy Joe Moore, who's an outstanding bloke, as I've mentioned previously. And he came up with what he called his New Year martial manifestations, which I thought was a fantastic way of phrasing it. So not so much resolutions, but goals that he wants to work towards or achieve within the year. And they involved a bunch of stuff specific to himself. And I thought, you know what, that is actually a fantastic idea, mint idea. So, martial manifestations, what do we go for? I'll be honest with you, it's not something I've massively thought about. I would like to find maybe a competitive format to have a crack at this year. That'd be quite good. Competition's not really something I've done for a very long time in any format, and I'd like to have a bash before I'm too old to be honest with you. I'm already on the end of that sort of age gap anyway, where you're considered an old bloke in martial arts. At 35, anybody who competes professionally is usually coming to the end of their career at that point anyway. I'd like to be able to get involved in something like that. That's a difficult one though, because trying to find full contact formats that suit me, that I haven't got to pay an absolute arm and a leg to get involved in, is a difficult one. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what steps I need to take for that. Other manifestations: do more, carry on working with the Mushogi project. Myself and James have got quite a bit planned for this year. We're hoping to jump on with a lot more people. The reception we had from starting at the end of last year was really good. So we're going to carry that momentum forward, increase that momentum actually, and get involved with a lot more people. For myself, very specifically, part of that will be linking into writing. For those that don't know, I love to write. Martial arts being a big part of my life, I like to write about martial arts. So a lot of what we cover and have a look at, I'll be writing about, but also writing down and covering things that I know. So martial arts, for me anyway, isn't just a purely physical pursuit. I'm quite studious in what I do as well. I love to learn. So, I'm sort of at a point where I have a fairly well-rounded set of skills and knowledge specific to what it is that I coach in karate. So I'm gonna put pen to paper and sort of formalise that in some way or another in the written word, and that should be quite cool. So yeah, martial manifestations. Try and find a competitive format and have a go. Maybe see if some of my students are interested. You know, because competition can breed growth. In many cases, it does. Particularly in the younger ones. You know, it's better for the youth than anybody else. What else did I say? Yeah, more travelling, more Musha Shugyo. Try and get a lot of that in. And yeah, write more stuff and get it out there. It's been fairly well received so far, the little bits and bobs that I've done. So being able to carry on with that is a dream, really. So we'll have a bash at that. Moving on, what else have I got written down on my notes? Upcoming events. So there's a ton of events through the year. I base most of my my yearly planning from Tividal Shotokan's calendar, purely because they tend to get in the martial artists that I like to train with. So they have a massive amount of events going on. I think their first one of the year is Tommy Joe Moore on the 11th of February, and he's going to be covering fighting multiple attackers and stuff like that, which I think could be quite interesting. So yeah, that's probably my first major seminar of the year. But before that though, today actually, I am heading off on a trip to Wales for the majority of the weekend to take part in a Misogi that I was kindly invited to by Sensei Terry Burkitt, who, as far as I'm aware, is a Kyokushin practitioner based in Wales. So yeah, I've been invited to go on a trek and train under a waterfall. Purify myself for the new year, I think, is the goal for that one for me. I'm really looking forward to that one, actually. I've never done anything like that before. I am quite nervous about the whole event, I'll be honest with you. Particularly being shirtless in the middle of winter under a waterfall. For those that aren't aware, I've got what's called a gash tat. I've got a horrendous looking, not quite tattoo stuck on my body that I need to get rid of and get sorted. Maybe not a martial manifestation, just a personal one, because it's one of those body image issue things. But yeah, other than that, I'm looking forward to it. It should be quite a good challenge. I'm interested in meeting and training new people. I believe I'm going to be getting there in time for a session at Terry's dojo, which would be really cool. I've never trained with Kyokushinkai guys before, so that'll be an eye-opener. Looking forward to seeing Terry's particular particular way of karate, and how he applies and uses it, based on the things that I've seen him do so far, the podcast that he's got running, videos he's got on his running page on Facebook. Really good stuff. He's a guy that comes from a very real background. He's not what you would sort of see as a typical Kyokushin guy. Who are seen as primarily competitive, full contact fighters. This is a guy who's, he's worked real jobs that involve real violence, and so, he's in the real shit. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to exchanging ideas and having a good conversation and sweating it out. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. There are many other events coming up in the year. As I said, primarily through Tividal Shotokan Karate. If you are a karate practitioner or a martial artist that just wants to expand their horizons, they don't just have specifically karate people in. So please check out TSKC's Facebook groups, pages. They advertise all the seminars and stuff like that on there. I'm really looking forward to, the Three Amigos seminars that are coming up this year. I think there's 3 or 4 that are coming up. So the Three Amigos are Senses John Johnston, Steve Lowe and Simon Oliver, who are absolutely phenomenal. Words can't describe just how amazing these guys are, not just as karateka, but as martial artists and as gents in general. They are amazing guys. So any opportunity that you ever see to be able to train with any of these guys, you should really jump onto it. Each one has an amazingly unique story, point of view, point of reference for how and what they teach. And it is amazing. You have decades and decades of experience that you know, is priceless. You cannot put a price on it, I'll be honest with you. The things you will come away with from a seminar like that, as a karateka, it's phenomenal. As a martial artist in general, it's really good because it will give you possibly a different perspective on how you look at basic things. I believe the first one this year, they are looking at power generation, which is always good for anybody. If you do any martial art, you're going to involve striking, or you should involve striking, because, you know, at the end of the day, most violence revolves around people punching and booting each other. So you need to be able to learn to punch and kick really hard, okay? Deliver all that mass in really good, well-timed, well-placed impacts. So yeah, they're going to be focusing on that, I believe, for the first one. So definitely check that out if you Facebook or just Google it, the Three Amigos on tour, I think they're calling it. Definitely check that out. That will be amazing. There is actually, linking on from that, a seminar coming up, a Karate for Mental Health seminar. The Karate for Mental Health scene has actually sort of exploded over the past year or so. I believe it was set up by Sensei Les Bubka, who I've not had the pleasure of training with yet. I'm going to have to find the opportunity to go and train with him. I think he's based in Guildford. I'm going to find out and make a trip down there at some point, up there, around to there at some point. But Sensei John Johnston, jumping on board with that because he does a lot of stuff for people with physical and mental disabilities. He is running a Karate for Mental Health seminar day at the Tivadar Shotokan Karate Club, which will be phenomenal. So I'm coaching at that one. There's myself, there's Sensei John Johnston, Sensei Ian Edwards, and Senseis Les and Steve Knight, who obviously run TSKC. So that's going to be a really interesting one. My plan for that one, I don't know about anybody else, but my plan for that particular seminar is I am going to be coaching people how to utilise their karate, whether it be sport-based, but primarily non-sport-based, in sparring, because I don't think it gets covered enough in a lot of places. And I have a fairly, I wouldn't say unique way of training sparring, but because I've trained in various other disciplines, I've sort of amalgamated that into my own karate training. So yeah, I'm able to, for me personally, I like to work from my foundation techniques per lesson up to a position where they're usable in a sparring environment, a completely unpredictable environment. So I'm gonna be covering that, karate and sparring, and being able to meld the two together, particularly if you're not a sporting competitive based karateka. So, you know, adding a little bit of that to it, so that'll be really good. On the subject of actually karate for mental health, on a personal note, I'm obviously, for those that aren't aware, I'm currently undergoing a talking therapy. I see a psychologist every couple of weeks through the NHS at the moment. It's taken nearly 3 years, but I finally got there. As yet, I'm unsure whether it's going well or not, you know, the sessions are still very early days. I've only had a handful so far. But yeah, we sort of, to link to martial arts, and on a more personal note, we sort of linked to something the other day. You know, I sort of realised that there is something in me that I can't fill. We described it as a hole. There is a hole in me somewhere that I cannot fill. You know, something somewhere is completely unfulfilled in me. I'm hoping that through what I'm covering this year, you know, through my own personal martial manifestations and trying to do more, I'm hoping that I can utilise that to fill that hole some way. And possibly not getting my own way in the process, you know. But we'll see how that goes. But it's quite an interesting one, because a lot of my own personal mental health is very specifically tied to martial arts, both positive and negative. I've had some very amazing experiences in martial arts, and I've had some absolutely horrendous, soul-destroying experiences that have left lasting mental and emotional scars. So yeah, we'll see whether I can fix that and go forward with that, and maybe help some people along the way with my experiences. I hope, anyway. So yeah, that's basically it for that. Dojo stuff going forward. So for those unaware, I'm in my own dojo. I run a dojo. It's part of the charity, the community centre that I help to volunteer at. The dojo I run, again, is not for profit. I don't get paid. Nobody gets paid. All the money goes into the dojo. But I have got some interesting stuff coming up this year for the dojo. The main thing is changes to the way I operate the dojo. Unfortunately for karate in general, it's generally seen as a child's activity, which means most of my classes are full of children. I don't particularly enjoy that, but it's what I have, and you know, no disrespect to my students, but I personally cannot bench the kind of ideas that I need to off of my students. So I'm going to be trying to find different ways to train, to grow some more myself through this year within my own four walls. Hopefully, I would like to properly reconnect with my instructor again. Because he's been out of it for a while, and you know, he's the smartest man I've ever known. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever known as well, actually. He's always been my idol, my inspiration, and he's got, whether he knows it or not, at least a couple of decades more worth of work in him. So I'm hoping to get a bit more from that going forwards. As for the dojo itself and running the classes, I am capping all of my classes off this year. I have resolved to limit my numbers, purely because at the moment I am the only person teaching what I teach, the only person capable of doing the job. If I'm ever ill or, you know, otherwise occupied, if I've had a seizure or anything like that, my classes, they're stopped. Nobody usually is able to cover them, except for very rare occasions. So yeah, I'm going to be capping my classes off to make it more manageable. Not just manageable for me, but actually manageable for the growth of the students, because I have such a spread of grades ranging from absolute beginners, fresh through the door, to first cues, getting ready for Shodan, and junior black belts. You know, it's hard work. I'm only one person. I can't have everybody working at a purely, you know, 90 Q level when I've got first Qs that are getting ready for their Shodans and junior black belts. So yeah, the whole syllabus itself has been changed to sort of mix in with that as well. I found, after having a really good long hard look at what I was doing, that the syllabus I have is incredibly Kion heavy. So I've streamlined the actual patterns, the Kion anyway, effectively trimming off what was waste movements and ensuring that the movement that I'm teaching is conveying certain principles that relate directly to, combative acts. So if I found that there was a pattern of movements that I couldn't directly build and translate to a point where I could make it useful for people inspiring, then I've scrapped it off or I've changed it and made it so that it can. Because if it can't become a natural movement under, controlled stress, which is what sparring is, it's a controlled stress, then it's no good. So I've done that, and obviously changed a few things around to match more the ethos and principles that I'm coaching people under, which effectively is to be better at protecting themselves. So that's all been involved and changed. The approach to training's changed. I've actually trimmed down the amount of kata that are being used, purely because there's just an overload of. I don't need so many kata, individual kata anyway, for what I'm doing. So that's been changed up. The whole new syllabus will actually go live next week or the week after. That'll go out to sort of all the students. They will all have a better idea what's going on. I'll be setting dates for gradings and things like that. So yeah, all of that's coming in. Also a very no-nonsense approach going forward into this year. I've never really been one for shying away from confrontation anyway, but in the past couple of years since setting up in this new location, I've had to deal with more bullshit drama than I have done anywhere else. In one particular instance, I had a student who was incredibly disruptive, along with a few other students who were very much the same, to the point where I kicked this one particular student out because not the student especially, but the parents were an absolute fucking pain in the arse. I had a lot of ranting going on down the phone, without actual ability to create conversation. It was just a load of shit in the ear, I'll be completely honest with you. Accusations about picking on kids and stuff like that. For those unaware, I have a very robust anti-bullying policy that runs in place, as well as, my general safeguarding and all of the required stuff that you need for coaching kids, as well as a massive wealth of experience coaching kids over years in schools and things like that. I'd invited these particular parents in to have a sit down and a chat. Instead, they decided that they'd dictate to me who this particular student could and couldn't work with, how I should run my dojo, at which point I said, fuck off. I will not be dictated to by anyone. I have spent how old am I now? 35. So I have spent 23 years, give or take, in martial arts. More than half of that I've spent coaching, not just martial arts, but other sports as well. I will not be fucking dictated to by anybody how I run my dojo that I personally have paid into, and that I put, a lot of time and effort into. If parents believe that they know better, they can fucking teach their own kids, okay? They obviously don't need me if they know how to tell me what to do. So, jog on. There'll be a very no-nonsense approach. I think I've been a bit too nice, maybe because dealing with kids, it just makes you a little bit soft sometimes. And I'm not really willing to do that anymore. I'm emotionally very tired and drained after most classes I have been for the past year. And I shouldn't be. Being in the dojo, it shouldn't feel like I'm babysitting. It shouldn't feel like I have to fucking spoon feed information into people. They should be here because they're willing to and want to learn and develop and grow. And if they don't, then they'll be advised to go and find somewhere else. I am not a creche. I am a martial arts instructor. What I teach isn't easy. The approach I take isn't easy because the content isn't easy to digest. So, yeah, just fair warning for anybody. If you're a parent and I have one of your children as a student and they end up really unhappy because sensei's being really hard on them, tough shit. Be honest with you. I've sort of reached the end of my tether with it because I have some amazing students, and we have the odd one or two that really are dragging their feet a little bit, and they're going to find this year a struggle because the changes I've made to the syllabus aren't massive, but they're enough to encourage people to have to do a little bit more on their own. They're enough to encourage people to have to put a lot more in by themselves and learn and develop and grow. And if they can't keep up, they're not going to progress. It's that simple. Other than that, business as usual. So I'm going to cut things short here. I've managed to keep it under the half an hour mark, which is fantastic. So I am going to tidy my space up. I am going to hit the Makiwara for a bit because I've not got my hits in today. Martial manifestation as well. I need to get more impact tools. I have my Makiwara. I need to get some other impact tools to work, different impactive tools out, tough and different bits. What was it that Sensei Steve Lowe said? Weaponize my limbs. I'm going to end up callous, just turn into a big callus. So yeah, I hope you have all had a fantastic Christmas and New Year. If not, I hope this year is a better year for you. And I look forward to training with people. Please get in touch if you would like to be part of the Musho Shugyo project and I've not contacted you already. Please get in touch and we'll arrange a visit, an interview. The general format is we sit down, we have an interview, which will cover your background. I'm interested in people's stories, okay? I'm interested in people's stories. Not just they did this, then earned this, they did this, then earned this. I want to know the personality behind the gi or the dobok or whatever wear, the tracksuit, the leather and lace. No, hang on, that sounds really weird. But yeah, I want to know your stories. And then through the magic of James Hinsley and Tanner Media's brilliant editing skills, they'll make something really cool out of it, okay? It's a fantastic little project that we're doing, and it gives me the opportunity to learn about and from different people, because that's what martial arts is all about. It's learning at its most fundamental level. So yeah, I hope to see you all soon. I hope to train you all soon. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and normal operations resume as of Monday. We'll have a Monday musing for that one, actually. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.